Постріл!
Alright y'all, welcome back to Combat Arms channel. Okay, so today we're checking out a video from the Azov units. Now I will say this is one of the shorter videos that I've seen from the Azov YouTube channel, but I will say just the weather and the scenery in the video caught my eye almost immediately. So you can see in this video there is some very inclement weather, very sort of snowy, and also just like looking at the terrain, it's very, very open, very difficult to do any sort of operation with any sort of concealment. But this is them doing some demolition operation on some Russian positions near Pokrovsk. So I will say, again, just looking at it, it looks very, very difficult and challenging to sort of navigate this sort of terrain. But I am interested to see what was involved in the planning process for this one, because it looks like they have a solid interview conducted with some of the members, or at least maybe the commander of that specific unit. So again, a little bit of a shorter video, but I do want to sort of break it down and kind of see, again, what was involved in this kind of operation, because we haven't really seen many videos of specific demolition operations. So I think it's going to be a pretty interesting one. Let's check it out. So again, very, very snowy, very open terrain. Again, I try not to pause the videos too much, but there are just certain things that just kind of like grab my attention. So again, like this is very open terrain, pretty challenging. I mean, like luckily the background is also very sort of hazy and overcast. Everything kind of blends together. So as far as like top camouflage versus bottom camouflage, not so much need for like that sort of discernment. It is also interesting to kind of see what sort of munitions they're working with as far as a demolition charge. It looked like, and then this dude, so I don't know what kind of movement they did, but it looks like I kind of saw this, but this dude has probably been doing some crawling or definitely taking a lot of, you know, knees, because you can see his compensator, his muzzle brake, and also his hand guard has kind of picked up a lot of snow there at this point. But again, this is open. This isn't even what we would call like an open danger area. This is just like out in the open. So trying to move onto any sort of position like this, even with like snow camouflage, I mean, it's going to be tough sort of movement to try and obfuscate this. Damn. And it looks like there's like a piece of a road or a bridge or something.
Вітаю, мій позивний депутат. Я командир групи, яка на той момент, коли була нам поставлена задача, виконували вогневий наліт. Отримали задачу від командування батальйону провести вогневий наліт. Ретельно пропланували разом з командуванням батальйоном, другом Гросером, оскільки я йшов з його людьми. Усвідомлювали, що там може знаходитись до 10 військовослужбовців противника. Підготовка
not a huge element. Look, it still get pretty messy depending on the reinforcements and stuff. And also depending on how many people you want to bring as well. If you're bringing like a lot of people, or if you're planning to bring a lot of people, then it's going to be it's going to be much harder to obfuscate that, especially when you consider they probably have drones as well in the air to kind of support and be like an observation post. They also probably just have actual observation posts to kind of, you know, track any sort of movement. So it's going to be hard just to get up to this, you know, position. Not necessarily concerned with taking out 10 guys. That's, you know, whatever, simple enough to do if you have the right supports as well. But again, all you need to do is call it in with a radio, and now you have a lot of trouble on your hands.
Щоб все було ідеально, без бою. Потім прохолостили з хлопцями, як ми будемо підходити, як будемо розгортатися.
Yeah, actions on the objective, you have to rehearse those time and time again. It's like the most crucial thing that we would rehearse in the light infantry.
Приїхавши на точку,
going to a trench, going to a building,
рекон, трішки довелося
signals,
допланувати підхід, оскільки погода трішки змінилась і у нас була змога заходити трошки повільніше, безпечніше і взяти більш вигідні для себе маршрути.
Yeah, you can never really know what like the terrain looks like unless you have drones, but even still on the ground to like see all the micro terrain that you can use, it makes all the difference.
Хлопці відходять, доповідають, що ми не вдома. Ми ще раз п'ємо капучинку, доповідаємо, що в нас все very wonderful, люди всі цілі і все файно, і виконана задача на сьогодні. Так, вони вже мали вийти по дорогу.
Today's mission, geez, just one of many, you know.
Прикриття і рухаються вже на К3.
So it looks like very early morning. Good move. I mean, just in general, this sort of raid operations are always best when people are more than likely sleeping. Security is reduced to like maybe 25% or something. Interesting. So they got a ladder and stuff.
Ось дорога, ми зараз вийдемо на...
Що, давай, погнали.
Просто по дорогу. Тупо по
Давай,
дорогу.
давай.
3 хвилини, 5 минут, 200 метрів. Все.
Давай, пішов.
Там, пожалуйста. Визуальний контроль.
Okay. Again, they seem pretty well equipped for just kind of dealing with this sort of terrain. But I mean, just look at that. Golly, it's so. You're one like in the high grounds,
З'єднають мережі.
but also just in the open.
Час, і ми знаходились на відкритій місцевості, знаючи, що нас можуть бачити дрони супротивника, можуть нам робити скиди, півішка прилетіть, можуть вийти.
Oh yeah, an FPV, like, where would you even hide
Ми
there?
зразу, коли зайшли на міст, побачили сліди, значить ми вже знали, що там є ворог.
Oh, dude, that's
Ну і
eerie.
ще дуже важко було, звісно, донести то все. Вага пристойна.
Oh yeah, try and disperse that as best you can.
Кілограм плюс засоби захисту, зброя, БК.
Один несуть туди заклади.
I'm curious what kind of positions they're blowing up. I mean, I know it's a bridge, but it looks like it's already kind of in rough shape, but I mean, then there's just this random pickup that has seen better days as well. And moving through that snow, it's not very deep, but even still, like, with all that kit on and all that weight, that shit is physically taxing. No doubt about that. And once that first one goes off, that's like, that's it.
Єс, блядь, іди сюди, нахуй. Блядь, хорошо, нахуй.
That's gotta be so hyped to see.
Очікую на другий, як прийняв.
So is the
Повторяю ще раз,
second one
якщо
already?
дирка буде недостатня, значить підкидуємо
Ah,
під,
okay.
як прийняв.
So they're gonna do a damage assessment and then plant another one.
Плюс прийняв.
Сказав кидати
But
знизу.
you gotta be pretty quick with this one, especially moving in the open terrain. After you set this off, the sun's coming up, it's gonna start burning off all that fog.
Що, пацани? Готові?
And then you don't even need to worry about drones at that point. Then you just need to worry about someone who has like a like designated marksman rifle, sniper rifle. Even just a normal rifle with a solid optic is gonna start getting dangerous.
15 кілограм це 4. Має бути
Damn, 15 kilos of C4? Yeah, no kidding. That was it? Or is that still from the
А
first
хто
one?
ви рядом ді кидали?
Okay. Yeah, so it looks like they're just trying to take out this bridge. Let's pick two.
Особовий склад весь цілий рухається на К2. Як будуть на К1, дам обратний зв'язок.
Nice.
Парні, пару слів. Роботу зробили на 5. Все дуже добре.
Так, основна задача, та, яка нам була
I mean,
поставлена,
like,
була
again,
виконана.
in theory, a very simple
Нам
mission.
було поставлено задачу зруйнувати укриття противника.
Just so much to go wrong.
Там який противник був, то він вже
Ah, okay, so they might have been chilling underneath that.
нагородило відразу після закінчення задачі.
This is where it's so important to just be really solid and squared away with the fundamentals.
Втрат немає.
It's so easy to get like complacent and stuff.
Насип противника є.
Так, це маленька перемога. Це не є дуже тяжкий маневр, але це маленька перемога. Але ж наші чекають дуже і дуже багато чого і сложного чого. Тому сьогоднішній день взяти до голови, розібрати, обов'язково ми ще поспілкуємося і почнемо далі готуватися ще краще і краще.
I mean, so again, there's only so much you can do with like kind of hand carried munitions as far as, you know, what kind of damage it can do. not everybody has like the luxury of just calling in, you know, air to just drop bombs. I mean, in this war especially, it's such a strategic asset to have any sort of like fixed wing support, even like, you know, rotary wing stuff. So to carry all the munitions to this sort of, again, I guess it's like a bridge. I guess they were taking shelter underneath it, but again, just kind of moving out in the open, moving all that equipment is going to be, you know, pretty taxing. And moving with a small enough element so as not to like bring so much attention to your, like, to have like not as big of a footprint. You know, you kind of have to move a little bit smaller, a little bit tighter, a little bit quicker. So you need a solid group of dudes, good with navigation, good with physical fitness. Again, having all this equipment, carrying all of it, moving through all of this terrain. I'm not sure exactly how long the entire movement was, but again, there's a lot of things, and just having like a small, solid group of dudes makes that a lot easier. Again, there's just so many things that could have gone wrong, and just like even like the, you know, the charges themselves, if those were kind of faulty, then this whole thing kind of just, you know, potentially would have been for nothing. Again, so although these videos might be shorter and although the operations might seem simpler in theory as far as like the resistance that they're facing, it really goes to highlight that the fundamentals really need to be locked in for something like this to be successful. Again, there's so many things to go wrong as far as like just people not even making it to the objective when you're talking about physical fitness or navigation, making sure the charges are actually effective, making sure they actually work properly. If the reconnaissance was bad, all of a sudden, you know, there's potentially a much larger enemy force. All of a sudden, they're heavily defended. All of a sudden, their security is up. There's a lot of things, again, that can kind of go wrong with this specific operation. So although like a lot of people might not necessarily think this is like, you know, the sexy thing when it comes to like watching modern combat footage, for me as like an infantryman having that background, it just goes to show like all the fundamentals seem to be pretty well locked in here. It seems like very well disciplined sort of units, disciplined operation, especially talking about the rehearsals. Again, they were talking about the actions on the objective, going to like that last covered and concealed position, moving out onto the area they're actually going to be planting the charge, and then bounding back from there, hitting it again, and again, doing that in like a very compressed time frame. Again, like, it might seem simple, but focusing on those operations like that and those specific, you know, those critical moments in the operation, it's super important to rehearse those. And like, I can't tell you how many times, I mean, even just entering a trench, we would rehearse that probably like, you know, 10 times just to make sure that everybody was comfortable with how to set up around the trench and how to throw a grenade in, actually getting the grenade inside the trench, how to, you know, use fires on the trench while you're entering it, and also just understanding the layouts, understanding how people are going to bound into the trench. There's a lot of things that can go wrong just with something simple, you know, simple like that. So yeah, that's why I can really appreciate videos like this. If you guys have any sort of background with military or tactics or just anything in general that you're picking up on, let me know down in the comments section as far as what you saw with these guys and how well they did, or maybe some things that they could have done a little bit better as well. Because again, it is kind of interesting to see these videos and analyze it. It's also really nice to have like the interviews and stuff, just to kind of understand their mindsets and what they identified as, you know, going well or not going particularly well. It's really interesting to get that sort of feedback from someone who's actually there, who can kind of see more than just what the cameras are showing, especially if they're there for the rehearsals and the planning and everything. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I'll put the original video down in the comment section so y'all can go and check it out, and you can go and check out the channel as well. But that is it for this video. I'll see y'all in the next one.